So in this video, we're going to be showing you some really useful functionality here inside EasyStone. We're going to be building this file. I'm just going to drag and drop in a JPEG file here. And this is the JPEG file that we're going to be working with. And we're just going to create this design. I'll show you how I would go about doing it. If we go into wireframe mode, do you see where the edge of this black line is? Well, that's where the end of our bitmap is. So if I select my bitmap, you can see it's 14.2 inches from the corner to the corner. But look at where our artwork is. So our artwork doesn't go right to the edge of our bitmap. So we need to set our artwork to a specific size. So what I did was I created a little function that allows us to select our bitmap, come over here to the Specialty tab and hit Set Size, and I can click on the edge of my artwork and the edge of my artwork and set the width. Instead of 13.5 inches, we're going to set the width to 9.5 inches. And now we know that from the edge of this to the edge of this, the 2 points that we clicked should be roughly 9.5 inches. And we can confirm that by having nothing selected and clicking Set Size again, the same 2 points, and you could tell the new width is 9.5 inches. Look at there. So we know that our artwork is 9.5 inches. You notice that the option to resize is grayed out because we didn't have our bitmap originally selected. Okay? So now we'll go back over here to Enhance mode. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and lock our image so we can't accidentally move it. And we'll begin the process of creating our rhinestone pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this kind of zigzag line here for our heartbeat. So I'm going to set my stone color by right-clicking on my stone color, which is Capri Blue. You can see now it says Capri Blue. I'm going to right-click on SS16, and you can see now my stone size is SS16. The spacing between stones, I use 0.5 millimeter. So I'm going to come to the Stone tab and drop one single stone, and then hit the Escape key. And then I'm going to begin my stoning process. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to set a stone at that point at the top there. And for the first few, I might just hand set these. And so what I'm doing is dragging with my mouse, right-clicking to make a duplicate. Okay? So we'll go ahead and set these points. Now, from here to here, I could just hand set these if I want to do it that way, or I'll show you another function that is a pretty nifty little function. Now the other point I'd like to make is when you're using artwork, we're only using it as a guide, so we can make modifications as we go as far as artwork is concerned. So we'll go ahead and set this. So these first few, I think it's just as easy to hand set them, but now when you have this long run, well, we don't want to sit and hand set every one of those stones. So we'll just set the top and the bottom like so. And then we'll connect the dots. So we're just going to select this one, hold our Shift key and select that one, and hit Add Stones. And what it does is it adds stones in between, but it also gives us this path. And as we move that path, of course, our stones will move with it. So that can be wickedly useful. It just depends on the type of design that we're creating at the time. So then we'll go ahead and bring this one down. We'll do the same thing. We'll go ahead and set these two like so. And then we'll connect the dots. Just like so. And then we'll go ahead and do this one. And we'll connect the dots. And we'll do this one and this one. Bring this one up. Bring this one up. And believe it or not, that right-click function to make a duplicate, not every program has that function. So it's actually quite nice to have that ability to be able to quickly do that right here inside CorelDRAW. Alright, so now we get to the point where we have our heart here. So let's go ahead, connect the dots. We'll go ahead and delete our stone paths. We'll copy this up. And here's where we'll kind of change things up a little bit. I'm going to move this stone right up there, connect these two, connect the dots, and remember that path I talked about? Well, we can move that path now, hit the endpoint and see these control handles, and then we can control exactly how this heart looks just with these two control handles. I'm going to add an extra control node just to make that a little bit easier to specify exactly where I want that to be. So now I can select one of those stones and just keep hitting plus minus, adding some additional stones until the spacing is the way I want it. Or I could clear those stones and let the software automatically calculate. So let me back up a little bit. So remember, we were to this point here where I added the control node. Okay. The amount of stones that are on the path right now were good from point to point, but now that the curve is bigger, it's not. So what we could do is just have the software calculate that for us. So we'll go ahead and clear the stones, and then we'll reselect our path and click on Add Stones again. And it would go ahead and calculate the number of stones it needed and add it to the path that way. Alright, so now that we have up to this point, what I would probably do is go ahead and select and flip this over so that this side is exactly the same as that. Alright, so then I'd select everything I have up to this point, delete stone paths, check for any overlapping stones. And now we can kind of continue on. So we'll do one blue one, and then we're going to switch over to black. I'll tell you what, I'll change my mind. We're going to do both black. So we'll go ahead and do both black. Use our stone fill tab to do our offsets. I'll tell you what, I'll use that stone fill offset for both of those. Okay? And then you notice that our top part of our stethoscope here is mirrored. It's exactly the same on top as it is bottom. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do half of our design here, and I'm just gonna hand place them, and because I want to show you if we select these, we can come over here to our editing tab and hit respace, and it will respace all those stones evenly for us. And then we're going to switch tactics here. So we're going to pull this straight across right there at the intersection, change the color and the size to SS10, and we're going to drop an SS10 right here, and then we're going to connect these two. We have a path, so we can move our path a little bit to have a little bit of curvature there, just a little bit. And then we're going to kind of continue the process right around here. So again, just because it's a couple of stones, might as well just hand place those quick a minute just by duplicating, and then we'll pull over an SS16 stone for there. Alright, so now that we have that, we're going to use our freehand pick tool to pick up that part and flip it and reposition it like so. And you can see where this intersects, it's all good. These stones overlapping a little bit, I wouldn't concern myself with them. They're not overlapping enough where it's going to be a problem when we go to insert our stones into our layout. So now we'll go ahead and select everything. We'll do check spacing. Found a couple overlapping stones, and so that takes care of that part of the design. So the next part is this part right here. So what we're going to do is draw out a circle, hold our control key down to constrain to a perfect circle, kind of reposition it in place. We want this circle to be directly centered top to bottom with this one. So we'll hit E, and the center of this circle will line up directly with the center of that one. Alright, so now we have to decide, well, how are we going to make this? And that's really entirely up to us, but what I'm going to do is go to the Stone Fill tab. I'm going to do a ring of SS6, and then the next group in is going to be 10. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 6 to 10 and hit create offset. And then we're going to go from 10 to 6 again. So again, I would click on that. And we're going to go, we could choose 10 to 6 if we want to. Click on inside. And then from here, we're just going to do 10. So in that case, I can just click on island fill. I don't have to use the special island fill. So let's put this together, show you how this works. So we're going to right click on Capri Blue. We're going to right click on SS6. We're going to add our stones. Here, we're going to right click on Crystal. We're going to right click on 10, and we're going to add our stones. Here, we're going to go back to Capri Blue, back to 6, add stones. And then here, finally, we're going to go back to Crystal, back to 10, and add stones. Okay? So that is that. So we're going to go ahead and delete our stone paths. And I would just probably move these just a little bit manually, just to give a little bit extra space, being as how we have the extra room there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this, and I'm just going to connect this. So this is going to go here. That's the spacing that we want. And then we're going to go stone fill and stone fill. So you can see how this isn't lining up. If we go into wireframe mode, we can see this a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and select this part of the design. I'm not going to select that stone or this one, but I'm going to pick it up from the center of this one. So we're going to go back to our pick tool here, and we're going to pick this up and move it, and right here from the center, drop it right onto the center. See? So now we have that perfect placement. Now these stones are a little bit close, obviously. So we're going to pull those away on either side where we want them to be. And then what I'm going to do is switch back over to enhance mode so we can see this. Is I'm going to grab my freehand pick tool, and I'm going to pick all of those stones up. And once you get used to using that freehand pick tool, it works wicked cool. You can see all of those stones are selected. And then we're going to respace all those stones all the way around. Okay, it's a minor adjustment, but one that I definitely think helps. Now you can see here, sometimes this will happen where you miss a stone right there, but I'm actually just going to delete that for this example because I think that spacing is just exactly what we need it to be anyhow. Alright, so that pretty well takes care of our design mostly. So let's go ahead and copy this over. I would like to run it through one more time, so we'll check spacing. There was one overlapping stone, and now we're going to add to the design. And what I did was just came in here with my text tool and just typed in the letter I. So we're going to make this a little bit bigger, something like that, and we're going to copy this down. And we're going to do my, and obviously that's too big, so we're going to scale that down so it'll fit our design a little better. So there's my, and then we're going to copy this over, and we're going to do job. So I love my job. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is decide, well, as the designer, what do I want? Well, I want SS16 in crystal. I'm going to drop one single stone here by I, hit the escape key to get out of drop stone, and then I'm going to use the stone fill option. I'm going to do 12 steps to the vertical, and you can see that was a couple too many. And then I'm just going to offset a couple of times in one direction, and then we'll offset a couple of times in another. And the same thing down here. We can offset a couple of times and offset a couple of times. So there's I. We're going to copy a stone down here for my letter M, and I'm just going to go ahead and go up, 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 go over, drag a stone straight over by holding my shift key, connecting the two, grabbing this and flipping it, and bringing those two together. We are going to delete our stone paths, and then here we are going to delete the overlaps. So you can see now that is no longer overlapping in the middle. I'm going to copy over my text for my Y, move this over, go ahead and delete these, make my connections, go ahead and flip this, Bring this back over. Select, delete stone paths, check for spacing, 1 overlap, and then we're just going to keep going. So we're going to pull over this for our J, and we're just going to reposition this around the curve a little bit. Something like that. And then we'll pick this up again for our B. Now here we're going to offset, and then we're going to nudge. So now you can see we're right in the center of the B here. I tell you what, actually this needs to go right there. That is dead center. Okay, and so then what I would do is we're going to come over a couple here too, and we'll meet in the middle here. And if we really want to nail it down, we could go ahead and respace all the way around. Respace also works just by right-clicking on D. So we'll go ahead and offset a couple of 2-3 times. And then we'll look at respacing. So this time we'll go this way. Right-click on D. And there's our B. We're going to select these 2 stones and open up Easy Guides. And we're going to do each object center horizontal. We're going to grab our 3-point ellipse tool. Make sure Snap to Guidelines is turned on. Pull that straight down and out. Right click to make sure we're on Crystal and SS16. Add stones. We'll drop a couple. Delete stone paths. Right click to get rid of our guidelines. Get rid of our text. And there is our finished project. Let's go ahead and check spacing one more time. Throw a weed box. We're going to make a duplicate of it. Right click on mockup. That will add our watermark. That will simulate our stones. And that will add our dimensions of our design. And that is all there is to creating this design here inside EasyStone. So you can see we spent about 15 minutes creating the design and doing the video demonstration, and it looked great, and it was super easy to do with just a couple of functions here in CorelDRAW and a couple of functions here inside EasyStone. Thanks for watching.